Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on PRN-FM on Connect to Love, and I'm joined and blessed to be with Michael J. Russ. I count my blessings every day. I count my blessings for all of you who tune in to Connect to Love and for you who send your love and support and just your prayers and your blessings to all of the people around the planet. And I am just, counting my blessings today, and I know, Michael, you are, and I was inspired to find in some of the chaos that's going on in the world, the peace of mind to settle down and sort of find my own mantra and just count my blessings. And that is really, the way that I want to start my day and to start every day. And I read a quote in 365 Days of Wonder by R.J. Palacio, and it was by one of the characters in the book, and it was just very simple. Be the person who can smile on the worst day. And I think for me it's a great reminder that no matter what it is that's going on, just when you just take a moment, take a deep breath, and smile, it can shift anything that's going on. And, Michael, when I read that quote to you, you actually even had a way to say it a little bit better. And your way of saying it was not only just be the person who can smile on the worst day, it was?
Yes. Be the person who can smile on your worst day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Keeping in mind, of course, that the word worst is a perception that you have that you can change. You have the ability to choose a different word. You can choose a different mindset other than saying it's your worst.
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing that gets you through it. That is what gets you through it, is understanding that your perception is creating the reality that you're experiencing around that day, whatever is going on. And we had a little conversation ahead about the fires as we're recording the show. The fires in Lahaina have ravaged Lahaina and Maui, and there's some on the Big Island that they're experiencing as well. And as I was reading through some of the articles today, there was a specific focus from the people who had lost everything, and that focus was gratitude. And I was encouraged by that. The articles were the media composes these things to pull on your heartstrings with regard to the amount of tragedy that occurs and loss. And, that's what they're supposed to do, right? They're supposed to pull your emotional chain. Bottom line is the people who were being interviewed, because this is Hawaiian, is a sort of a different mindset, and that mindset is ohana. Ohana is family, right? That's the word, ohana. And in times like this, you take care of your ohana, which is everyone. Everyone on the island is your family. And so there was a huge sense of gratitude that was being expressed for being able to be alive. All the other things can be replaced. But not only, I think 3 articles said that exact same. People said that exact same thing. Yeah, I can lose that, but I can't bring myself back. I can rebuild a home. I can reconstitute that home with memories. However, I can't. If I'm gone, none of that gets done, and that's fantastic. People taking care of people. Ohana, family taking care of family, and every stranger on the island is family. That's the beauty of it. One woman happened to say, yeah, the tourists can go back to their home, and they might have lost their belongings that they brought here, but they can go back to a home. We can't go back to a home. We have nothing. We have to rebuild, start from scratch. I don't know how they're going to do it. This is probably the worst tragedy worst fire. I've never, even in my lifetime, ever heard of anything happening like this in Hawaii. I've been there after Hurricane Iniki. I've seen that devastation. I've seen floods. I've seen, I haven't seen tsunamis, but I've seen floods where all of Waikiki flooded with a foot of water when I was actually living there. That was really interesting. However, I go back to the fact that as soon as you moving to a state of mind of gratitude versus tragedy and loss and lack really does shift your entire mindset and makes you it opens your heart. It opens your heart and it allows you to connect with people on that level, on a heart to heart level, and that's the most beautiful thing about it. You got a lot of people coming together, and that always makes not only your ohana better, it makes your life better, it makes you feel better. There's a rebuilding process. We went through it here with Hurricane Michael. Everybody helped everybody, and that's just everything else falls by the wayside. All the world's strife, all of the arguments, disagreements, all that falls by the wayside because you have a reason to come together and to be one as a community. And I think that's I'm sad that the tragedy had to happen because I've been to that place many times.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. That old town, Whaling Village, was buildings from the 1700s went up in flames, and they had beautiful museums. A whaling museum was there, and others. I mean, in looking at it, the pictures are saddening. However, they are. It's what's done is done. You can't control it. Can't control Mother Nature, so you have to just kind of roll with it. And I think that's, you wake up counting your blessings, and I wake up kind of doing the same thing, but also say, I'm here to roll with this day. Whatever happens, I'm here to roll with it. I'm here to roll up and down. I'm going to roll up and I'm going to roll down. I'm going to roll whatever way I need to roll because that's the way the day's going. I'm not going to fight it. Fighting life creates long-term physical problems and short-term problems too, in my view. And it's what a lot of people do. You end up fighting what you can't control. And that's you free yourself when you decide that you're not going to fight anything that you can't control. You give yourself the freedom to feel amazing, to feel happy, to feel joyful, and to have a weight lifted from your shoulders. And it's really, really amazing how much of your day, if you sit around and think of how much of your day is completely beyond your control, and you decide, you know what, I'm just going to roll with it. I'm not going to try to control other people. I'm not, if someone's not well, I'm not going to beat myself up because they're not doing what they need to do, or, I can't make them do something to get better. And you just have to let it be. You have to let life kind of unfold before you and maintain the happiness and joy you awakened with. If you did. If you didn't, you got to examine that one too, because you should. It's you don't get any sleep when you're not in a joyful state when you go to bed. You're thinking about things and worrying about things and things. Many of those things again are way beyond your ability to control. And being the person, that's all a part of being the person who can smile on their worst day. That's to me, that's the essence of it, is how you deal with what it is you encounter throughout the day. And it's up to us, because we have those choices. We can choose to be happy, joyful, peaceful, free, experience of freedom, a sense of freedom, and we can be friendly to everyone around us. That's our right and our choice.
That's beautiful. It's so true. And I think it's the connection with the heart and the love and the empathy that we feel when we see things like that happen to others. I remember where I was on 9/11 and the silence and the stillness, and there was just an unspoken wow. It was just there was nothing that could qualify what had happened, and it was felt all over the world. And the Heart Math Institute on that day, when they had the monitors, they said they saw a massive spike in all of their systems that they had around the world, the sensors. And that was the only thing that happened, and it was what that field when everybody dropped into their heart. Everybody felt that same emotion. It was at the same time worldwide. It was the first time they'd ever seen anything like that.
That is
and
amazing.
I think that is what really, that heart connection and that love and that empathy is so powerful. We can't physically be there, but when you do send your heartfelt blessings and your prayers, I do believe that it impacts things. And I when you were speaking, Michael, it reminded me a little bit of what Pam Gregory's been talking about over the last year. She's an astrologer from Britain, and she said that right now we're going through these massive changes. We don't really know what it looks like. It's kind of like going through the birthing process and changes in Mother Earth, and just always stay grounded in love no matter what comes up. Just be in love, be in love, be in love, because that's the higher consciousness. And it's when you're in, people can say, well, you're not in that predicament, and that's true. But each one of us faces hardships. It may not be today or tomorrow, but we all do in our lifetime. And it's just if you can try to go back and just go into that space. And I do. I don't think I'll ever forget that moment from that day and where I was.
I don't think anybody. I was actually in bed watching it on the West Coast. I had just gotten off a plane from Egypt a day earlier, and I was, laying around and with my wife at the time, and I was like, wow. We were all very much stunned, and all you could do is just sit there and just wrap your heart around that entire city as that whole thing unfolded. And again, it's our ability. I've always said that there's a positive response to absolutely every event that occurs in the world, no matter how tragic or that you may think it is or was. And that is, gratitude is one, love is the other. Opening your heart, wrapping your heart, sending heart light to that area, that's a positive response. The response makes you feel good about yourself and about life in general, because you really have no power or control. You can only send your love and your light to anyone in the world. I'm a believer that there's no time and space, so I can literally close my eyes and envelop somebody in the world with a blanket of love. And it only takes a moment to sit and just focus on that individual. If you have a picture of them, or if you have their name, or if you kind of know where they are, you can do a region. In this particular case, the island of Maui, the state of Hawaii, you can just kind of close your eyes and envelop it in a blanket of white light, of love and caring. And that is, I believe that has an impact too. I believe it has a very, very positive impact. And again, for you, being a situation out of your control, it is something you can do. It's a positive action. And instead of sitting around and woe is me and how tragic or whatever, let's do something positive here. Let's turn this around and send them as much love as we possibly can, because there's a specific nature, a mindset in that state that is different than any other place, any other state in the United States and many countries in the world, and it exists. It's darn amazing. It's the reason why most people think they go there for vacation, but a lot of people do, and they kind of miss out on the whole Ohana concept. However, that concept is real, it's vibrant, and it's in perpetuity. It's not going anywhere. It's omnipresent, so to speak. So definitely, it is this is what we should be doing right now. And I encourage all of our listeners, when you think about something that happens like that in the world, that is a great response. Whatever response you choose, but that is a great response. To immediately do that, to send your heartfelt wishes and wrap people and regions in light. Same thing with Ukraine. You got to wrap all that region in love and light to literally have a positive impact on the people who are experiencing the suffering or the bombing or the loss that they have experienced with loved ones and friends and family. Very interesting way of doing that, of responding to life in general.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I couldn't agree more. There are these pendants that they sell, and the company's name is Third Eye Pine Cone. And when there are forest fires, and the fires get so hot, there are these amazing. They look like stones, but they're all so unique, and they're from when the pine cones literally will melt down, and they're really incredibly beautiful. And I know in the out west there's certain, the fires have been horrific as well, and when there is a healing, and I've been through areas that have been devastated by forest fires, and then you start to see the regrowth and new things and new life come out of it. And it does really remind us that we are so connected, that everything goes back to the earth, and then from that stems new life. And although it's very difficult to even think of at the time, and it just I think it's really humbling. I mean, I think as human beings, we think sometimes we're invincible. We get into our vehicles and get this armor around us and, have this super sense of power. But it only takes a Mack truck to run through a red light, and there goes your day.
Yeah.
So
very true.
It does. And it's, I think, a really good reminder how fragile life is, but how important it is to value every small thing. The small fragile things in life are so important. And I'm sure you're thinking about all the walks you took while you were in Hawaii to the waterfalls and all of those beautiful things.
Yeah, I agree with you 110%. There's a lot of experiences that I've had over there. Not only dating a Hawaiian girl back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and going there many times. What you said made me think of something, and that is one of the little things that we kind of take for granted when we're talking about, getting in your armored vehicle and, going out to going just on an errand to the store, something like that. Anything can happen at any time to anyone. We can't control other drivers, what other drivers do. We can only control what we do, and we can be as cautious as we possibly can, which we should, and look both ways and all that. However, there are just things that occur, and what I like to remind people to do is to, when you're talking to someone, look them in the eye. Look them in the eye. It's amazing how many times, just with our own family and friends and loved ones, we can just kind of like take for granted that they'll be here, when they come back from wherever they're going. It's not like we have it's not a fear-based thing. It's a love-based thing. It's like, take that extra split second to when you say goodbye to them, or safe travels, that you look them in the eye when you do it. And if you can touch them in some way, do that. Put a hand on the shoulder, kiss on the cheek, but just look them in the eye intensely, and as if you're the only two beings in the world. That kind of looking in the eye, just for a second, just make that connection with them instead of taking for granted. Especially if you have kids. Kids are off to school in the morning. You're running, you're handing them things, and they're running out the door to catch the bus. make time to say, have an awesome day, I love you, look them in the eye, let them know that you do care about them and that you're thinking about them throughout the day, and then bye. Just that connection is so incredibly vital, because the people who it's really interesting when you hear about situations and circumstances that occur, and how, like, again, these various events that occur everywhere at any time where someone's life is taken. You think about, sometimes they actually say, I wish they remember the last thing that they said or that they did. And I'm not a person who lives in the world of regret, and I don't want to. It's a very deep, dark place that is very challenging to get out of.
You're right.
From a mindset. So why not be proactive and live every day as if it might be your last or it might be their last? It's a great way to embrace life. It's a great way to embrace love and joy and live from it instead of paying it, lip service, paying homage to love. Versus let's live from it. And I have sought to do that with all of my friends. When I say hello to them, I give them a hug. When I say goodbye to them, give them a hug. And I do that because I want that to be something that sticks with them. And them, me too. It's just something we do naturally. We tell each other, hey, love you. Love you. Great. Thank you so much for playing golf with me today. And, and make the rest of enjoy the rest of the day. The fact that someone spends time with you is a blessing. The fact that you get to spend time with somebody else is a blessing. It's easy to lose sight of these teeny little things, these nuances of life that make life so amazing, so magnificent, so fabulous, such an amazing adventure that it is. And what it all boils down to, fires happen, hurricanes happen, floods happen, but people and connection are the main thing that you remember. That experience of connection lasts longer than everything else. Everything else. And when what did somebody say the other day? I think it was a study that talked about I can't remember where the study came from. I think it was Harvard, where they tracked people for like 85 years.
You're right. It's a Harvard study. No, that was one of the longest studies they ever did. You're absolutely right.
And it was on a happiness study. What was the thing that I believe it said that it concluded, I should say, that that connection was the most important thing. It wasn't money. It wasn't where you lived. It wasn't necessarily people in particular, other than the connection they had with people. It was the connection you had. That's what made people happy. That's what gave people joy, that made life worth living, was the connection. It wasn't all the stuff, the trappings and the cars and this and that, all the stuff, the work you did for your life, which you contributed to society. No. That's not any of that. It is the connections that you made along the way. And when you're laying in your deathbed, you're thinking of people and connection and experiences you had with people, not the experience of driving your sports car. That's not what you think about. Or how much money you have in the bank. None of that matters. The amount of wealth you amassed and hogged and never shared. Right. It's the experience of having shared that with someone. It's that experience. Experiential living is the thing that we must embrace if we want to be happy, if we want to be joyful, and we want to experience kindness in our lives. From kindness that we give, kindness that we receive. That is the key. That's what we have to do. And everything else out there is just noise and distraction. Completely. Yeah.
I think, Michael, you had shared with me about Andrew Carnegie, who actually happens to be from Pittsburgh, and he was one of the industrialists who amassed a massive, massive fortune throughout his life. And it wasn't until later on, and I don't know very much about him, and I'm only speaking from what I have read, that he was pretty cutthroat and went through his life like that. And then in his later years, really saw the value of that personal connection, what you're talking about, and how his life had lacked that. And he spent the rest of his life giving back through philanthropy. So we have here in Pittsburgh, we have the Carnegie Museum, we have the Carnegie Libraries, you have Carnegie Hall in New York, you have all of these amazing things that he wanted to give back to people. But you think, you have all of this stuff and you're empty. And that's really, like you said, that connection, that social interaction, that is really the key to life. And it's part of that system. And I'm sure that whoever is going through hardship, if they have one true good friend, that's worth its weight in gold. Somebody they know that no matter what time of day, they can call and say, you know what, I need a shoulder to cry on. I need an ear to listen to me. I need, I broke my foot. Can you run to the store for me? I can't drive. Whatever it is, I think that in society, and it may, and I sure that no matter what these people are going through, that's who if they don't have family there, they're finding their friends, finding their community, everybody coming together. And it's a shame that it takes a fire to do that. And maybe that's what Mother Nature, the planet Earth, is trying to teach us.
The universe has strange ways of wielding its 2x4 for change and transformation. And as someone once said, if you don't willingly seek to change and evolve, there will be, the universe will find ways of forcing you to make those choices and those decisions. And because you're not here just to sit around and be a bump on a log. You're here to have your soul ascend. You're here for whatever reason, to experience kindness, to experience love, to experience love through tragedy, to whatever it may be, to pay that simple kindness to someone who is in need at the time. It could be a zillion things that you may be here for. Any of a zillion things that you're here for. What came to mind when you said Andrew Carnegie is Carol Collins did a great channeling of Andrew Carnegie, because she lives in the same town as you, Pittsburgh, and it was, unfortunately, volume level needed to be a little bit higher, but there's still nuggets of gold within that channeling that she does of him, and I think it's about 18 minutes long or something like that, 18 to 20 minutes. However, the main line that I picked up was simple kindness. He hadn't experienced, hadn't taken the time to, or even thought about simple kindness, paying people kindness, expressing kindness. It's interesting that back in those days, there's a lot of ego that goes into putting your name on everything. I've got money and I'll build this thing for you, but you got to name it after me, And my question would be, how many things did he do altruistically? How many things did he actually do that involved giving that he didn't need to have acknowledgement for? That's the question. How many things, and I'll ask our listeners, how many things do you actually do that don't require, where you don't require a thank you or any kind of acknowledgement? You do it in secret. You just do it because it's the right thing to do, or because it brings you joy to do it. And you know that person will or organization or whatever it is, will experience joy from your giving, but you don't need to have the thank you. You don't need the acknowledgement of that. It's so cool. It's so cool to see someone in a restaurant, maybe sitting by themselves. Last time I did this was a couple weeks ago, and there was a gentleman who was eating by himself in my girlfriend's restaurant, and I called the waitress over and I said, he's by himself, yeah? She says, yeah. Are you serving him? She says, yeah. How much is his tab? And she said it was $16 and some change. I said, here's a $20. Just take care of it and take the rest for yourself as a tip. Just, and we go there a lot, and I just did it and just walked away. The greatest thing about life is knowing that you actually did something. I'm not telling you a story to toot my own horn or pat me on the back, but I'm just encouraging our listeners to seek opportunities to pay simple kindness to people. I don't know dude could have had $500 in his pocket to pay for. I didn't care. That wasn't the point. The point was that they were there eating alone, and I felt, you know what? I just wanted to do something kind for someone, and just walked out. And by the way, I think he left before I did. I didn't know. I just told her to do that, and I was talking to my girlfriend and some of the other servers in there, and I looked around, and he was gone. And I'm going, fantastic. I said, just tell him it's taken care of, and don't tell him it was me. I said, I don't need to know him to know that. And there are times I have said, just tell him I wanted to pay him a kindness, and maybe what they can do is pay it forward sometime in the future, where I'll say, tell them that I did it, but I don't meet them particularly, or I might give them a podcast card and say, here, this is for you. And I've gotten emails back on my email that's on my card saying how it touched them, how transformational it was for them in that moment. And I just felt like I was guided to do it at that time. That's really what I do anyway. If I'm guided to look, okay, I saw someone in a place. I was at the Beau Rivage, I think, in the restaurant there, and the woman was actually asking what prices were. How much was this? How much would that be? And I said, you know what? Wouldn't it be nice if she didn't have to ask how much it was? She just basically ordered and didn't have to concern herself with price. So I called the server over secretly, and I said, just give her whatever she wants. Just tell her she can have whatever she wants. It's taken care of. And that's it. I'm assuming that she did. I got up and left at some particular point, but I said, here's whatever, $50 or something like that for you and her and whatever she wants. And it's fun to actually do that. Number one, for you, it brings you joy in the giving, and it also it reinforces abundance. It reinforces abundance for you, that you have enough in your life to share with someone else, and that is the second joy that comes to you. You're taking care of two things at once. You're validating that that you live in abundance, and validating that you are valuing your simple kindness. That you get joy from doing it, from the giving, and then there's joy that's experienced by them as well. So it's a win-win for you and for them. And I think as a giver, you're the biggest winner, because it makes you feel awesome. It makes you feel alive. And when it happens to you, you'll believe me, it will touch you in ways that you never could have imagined. And you got to find creative ways of doing it. It's really fun. It's fun to do that. So look people in the eye. Let's get back to that. Look people in the eye. Tell them what you think about them, how you feel about them now, not on some special occasion. There's not enough sharing of love and kindness in this world on a daily basis. Caught up in the grind, as they call it, right? The grind of life. You get up and Monday is, you're not looking forward to Monday. We talked about this in our last episode, the perception of Monday, the perception of Wednesday being the week's half over. Oh, my gosh, I can't wait those 2 more days before I get to take those 2 days off, and I don't have to think about this place. Every day can be an amazing adventure if we wrap our minds around that and we decide to frame it that way. We frame the day as an amazing adventure.
Have you ever read perhaps the book by Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree, by any chance?
No.
He's a wonderful poet and writer and just witty, and he draws the most whimsical things. But The Giving Tree was about the relationship between a tree and a boy throughout all the stages of his life and what the tree provided for him. Whether it was apples, it was wood to build this, wood to build that. And, he ended up cutting the tree and late in life, when he was an old man, he was with the tree and he said, but I don't have anything left to give. And here, because he was just a stump, but he was an old man and he was able to sit down and just rest. And they still shared that thing. And I keep you can imagine I'm but buried in books. I love my books. I am never too old to reread that book. And it just is, it's just such a special book. I've given it to a lot of different people because it is such a great reminder that even when we think we don't have something to give, and as we started out with a smile, when you're happy and content and you smile and you look somebody in the eye, it's like that place that somebody can rest. You're radiating warmth. It's like you're a beacon drawing other people to you. But sometimes when you find that smile on your worst day, it's like there's still something there that you're giving to somebody else. And even yourself, I think, is part of that. And that's what you're saying. And it just reminded me of that, Michael. You sparked so many things in my brain, and you give to me so much, and I'm so grateful for all that you inspire that comes from my heart to yours.
And you believe me, you have helped me in ways that you could never imagine, and I am much appreciative of that. And I think that's why we love doing this together, because we're like-minded kindred spirits, so to speak, like-minded souls. And we have a different way of looking at things that we hope that our audience here on PNFM will kind of take to heart, and perhaps these shows are sparking a transformation in the people who are listening. I know that I've run into people who I've given cards to, and they say, oh, yeah, I do that podcast. I love that. And I go, I'm very grateful to them for not only taking the time to listen, but to keep listening, and and hopefully they'll have the smile on their face that is on yours and on mine throughout the day, regardless of things that happen. We have to remember, and there are things that really, you're in the right direction when things happen that really hit close to home, that are, that impact your heart in ways that you could never imagine. The loss of a pet, and someone that you care about, or a family member, or somebody that you knew, somebody like Scott Robinson we talked about a few episodes ago, who I can still hear his voice in my head. I can hear his voice. Yeah, what a soft-spoken man. I just, our audience has the ability to go back into our archive and listen to the couple of shows we did with him, and learn something that they didn't know, and about healing and about themselves, hopefully. Yeah, it's life. It's a fun thing. When you get to be, somebody said the other day, hey, why is it that when we get to be our age, more of the people we know are dying? I said, because this is when it comes home to roost, right? This is when life comes home to roost. All the things that you were doing throughout your life, if they say even that, serious illness is, 10% genes and 90% lifestyle, life choices, so to speak, this is where those choices come home to roost when you're in your 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s. It comes home to roost. And so we have the ability to, and I'm of the belief that when we share our love and light, when we not only stoke our own love and light and we share that, and that when we have a smile on our face and we look people in the eye and we express our gratitude for being here and for people being in our lives, and we treat strangers with the simple kindness that they deserve, because they are human beings, they're souls just like us. We're not above them in any given way. No matter how much money we do or don't have, we or what it is they're doing for us in service, it doesn't make them less than us. It just makes them another person amongst 8 billion, and that we have the ability to live far longer than we would otherwise when we love ourselves, we love our life, and love life and love our life. We have and express our kindness and joy every day for having this opportunity to experience this reality, this plane, earthly plane, no matter what it throws our way. We can live a lot longer by not getting caught up in the negativity that it so often seeks to guide us towards. We can choose positivity. We can choose it at every turn to have a positive reaction to things instead of a negative one, because as Carol Collins said, negative responses, negativity gets stuck on our grid, so to speak, subconscious, and it mucks up the works, mucks things up. The green stuff I was talking about, the green splatter. I think I used that with somebody the other day. Man, you got a whole lot of green splatter on you, man. How are you going to get rid of that? You need to just get rid of it. And sit in meditation for a while and get that calmness, and it'll abate. But it's what we focus on. Keep saying it time and time again. You get what you focus on. You are what you focus on.
Right.
Throughout the day, I focus on. I'm constantly reminding myself to focus on love and kindness, and not on control. Away from control and on to let it be. Can't control it, so let's keep focusing on what I can control throughout the day, which is me, myself, and I, and seek to do that. And when there's a slight disagreement or an argument or something that's said out of I'm only human, so I do say things on occasion that come out of frustration, come from a negative place, and I turn around and we gotta roll things back a bit. We gotta take a step backwards and examine why I said that thing, or why I'm impatient, or why I'm excited in the way that I am in a negative way. Why am I? Why have I got my dander up? Mother used to say, you got your dander up. Why you feel that way? Why do you feel sad? It's just examine it and go, okay, right. Let's work this out in my own mind very quickly. The more you do it, the easier it is to do. The happier you are, the more joyful you are, the more transformative you can be in the moment when you find yourself in a negative place. Instead of dragging it out and amplifying it, you quell that negativity very, very quickly. And I find that is the key to maintaining happiness and joy, is to be able to quell the negativity, to not amplify it by continued thought and more potent emotions, negative emotions. You know, if you're sad, but you don't have to take sadness and amplify it to the point where it's destroying your whole state of being. You can be sad for a moment about something, and then you can examine why you're experiencing the sadness, and then shift that to gratitude and move through it and move out of it. It is possible to do, and if to me that's interestingly enough, that's how I live. Every day I have to do that. Every day from the beginning to the end, and set it up. Count my blessings in the morning, like you. Be grateful that I've got both feet on the floor, or that I have a cat laying next to me when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I get it.
Splayed out, got her head buried in the covers, and you're going. And when I wake up in the morning, I have to feel my way around. I have to feel what's around me before I start moving, because she and her 15.5-pound self can be laying right there next to me, hanging out, just sleeping, run around all night because they're nocturnal, right? Cats are nocturnal, and then finally crash at like 4:00 in the morning, right next to me on the. Laying out. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I laugh at it. Yeah. Sweet. It's very sweet. And then you get your revenge when you get up, but then she's got to get up. That's what she gets for staying up all night.
They can.
So
my
sweet.
cat meditates.
Yeah, no, for sure.
She meditates. She loves to live. When I'm sitting down on my couch in my office, my eyes are, and she knows that when I sit in this spot, there's going to be some good energy coming out of him. I want to get up there. And lay down next to me and actually go to sleep. Go to sleep. Feel the warmth. And why can't we have everybody around us feel that warmth?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think, Michael, it's important to remember that you give yourself permission to be human. I think there's something in that. We don't have to be perfect all the time. We're human, and we're not, sometimes you have to give yourself permission to be happy. You get into that rut, and it's like the water, following the path of least resistance, and before you know it, you've got a gully, and before you know it, you've got a river, and whatnot. But you can throw some sticks in there and channel the water a different way. And it's sort of the same thing with the emotions, right? So you're finding, you may be feeling frustration, but guess what? You're going to find the thing in your life or in your day or whatever moment it is. Maybe it's just looking out the window. Maybe that's all it takes to shift that and give yourself that permission to experience. Yeah, I experienced that emotion of frustration. But guess what? This other thing feels better. I'm going to go that way instead.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's really, and as you become more conscious of it and allow yourself the forgiveness of, I'm human. I get it. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not, and don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, the perfection.
And then,
I agree.
Go ahead, please.
No, let me just say this. It's amazing to me how I come across some people who are always acting perfect, and they're always. I get the sense. Maybe it's just a sense from me, and I know they're human, and they have foibles. They have things they've said that they wish they hadn't. They have things going on in their life that could be problematic, and it's like, we want to be as authentic as we possibly can be. That's my goal, is to be authentic. And I'll tell people flat out, I shout expletives every once in a while. So
as do I.
Yeah, it's 100%. Not like you're.
Sometimes
you're not
there's no other word that works.
Yep, because there's no other word that really gives you that has the punch that you really
when
need,
I reached in and was grabbing out a stick the other day for somebody that needed, they were like, I just need a stick. And I'm like, here's a wood pile. I reached in, not realizing there was a hornet's nest in there. And it got underneath my bracelet, and it just kept stinging me and stinging me. And that was the only word that came out of my mouth. I was like, wow. And my hands,
well, okay,
swelled up like a boxing glove on my arm, and oh my gosh, because it just kept stinging me. And that was the only word that was appropriate at that time. So.
I will find it. A hornet's nest. I cannot stand being stung by wasps, and we have hornets down here, but not to the extent that you got. Big hornets up there, and they get into the ground, and they get in. They in California we had them too. They made nests in the ground, and in places in wood piles, like you're saying. We don't have those down here. We've got mud wasps, but they're not aggressive. But they eat bugs. Mud wasps eat bugs. They eat things that we mosquitoes and other things. They're good for us. But these wasps that are just making nests and making hay. I've been stung at least 4 or 5 times by coming too close, not recognizing that they're there. In California, I stupidly sprayed a nest in the daytime with Raid when I didn't know better. All I did was tick them off. I just made them mad, and I got stung in the neck. So I'm like, I'm like, okay, note to self, don't do that again. Wait till at night when they can't fly. And do you know how many people don't know that wasps and flies see through prisms and can't fly at night?
Yeah, I know.
They can't fly at night. Wasps can't fly at night. Can't fly at night. So best time to go after a wasp or hornet's nest is at night. They can't see you.
Yeah. But I always look at I have lots of books by Ted Andrews on animal totems and what it means. And the presence of wasps in your life means you have to take a critical look at your priorities and what you what are you fighting and what are you, it's like a wake-up call. And what do you need to refocus your energies on? Like focus on the right ventures. And so that being stung, it stops you in your track. And, eventually, and a lot of what he said, it's a long description of it, I've been stung. I guess I've been stung enough that I know a little bit too much about it, but it's designed to open your eyes up to new opportunities. And I think to myself, okay, so yes, I got stung. I took some children's Benadryl, which was like put me a little Stacy for sure, because I don't take anything driving like that. No,
that stuff will make you loopy.
Yeah, I'm not used to it, and but it gives me another opportunity. And so if I look at it, maybe it was good luck, right? And there was no accident. I could have said to her, "Oh, there's a pile over there," but no, I got to stick my hand in there.
Part of it is accountability. Being accountable for what you did, which is you definitely are. You just said you were. Yeah, you made the decision to dig your hand into that pile, knowing not unbeknownst to you there was something in there, but being stung and thinking about that there's a message in there somewhere. I like that. That's really positive when it comes to eliminating the adversity of the bite and the mindset that came with it. That's unique to me. I love that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, his books are really a gift. I had an opportunity to see him speak in Lilydale, New York, and he was just magical. And he's no longer on the planet, but his books live on. And there's just, and one of the other things about wasp medicine is that it has to do with your willingness to be humble. And there's a lot of power in that word, right?
Yeah, being humble, showing humility as well. It's being humble. It's interestingly enough, we live in a society that as people move up the socioeconomic ladder, some of those things kind of disappear. When we talked about Andrew Carnegie, stepping on people to get to the top, so to speak, which he regretted when he, his soul regretted doing that, that he would have loved to have gotten there without disenfranchising people, which
mm-hmm.
is to be this mantra of, get what you can. There was a term a number of years ago. I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get mine regardless of the cost. And what you really have to think about is there's always a cost. It's a question of whether or not you can deal with that cost or not. Eventually, it will catch up with you. I've learned that if you tell a white lie, it will come back to haunt you. If you tell a lie that puts you ahead or just to get something, at some point in your life, it's going to come back to get you. It's going to come back,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to circle right back around, and you'll be faced with that. So why not have a clear conscience and just tell the truth in the first place? Tell the truth. Even though the person you're telling the truth to, as long as you do it diplomatically and with love and kindness and empathy and compassion, you can say anything. You can say anything. Now, they may not feel good about it. You can't be if you say something with love, compassion, empathy, and kindness in a diplomatic way, where it's not a you, but you're just explaining to someone how you feel, in doing it with the love, compassion, and kindness, you're not responsible for how they take it. You have to tell people
right.
honestly, as long as something's said with love, you don't have to, not say it because they're going to be hurt. Yeah, they're going to be hurt. If it's something that you're taking away from them, something that relationships all the time are like this. When you find yourself in a position where you have to break off a relationship, you break off a friendship, or you do this or that for one reason or another, and you can't rectify the situation. You're unable to transform your own thoughts and perceptions about the relationship, and you speak honestly with people. You're doing them a favor by being honest and being loving to them, so that they can learn and they can evolve and they can transform if they choose to.
Right.
Choose to, and that's it's just a basic communication 101. You can say it, and I wish more people in the corporate world who manage people would actually adhere to this principle: love, kindness, compassion, and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to tell somebody something, do it with those four things,
right.
and be kind. There's no reason to say something some way.
Right, and you never know when somebody will be grateful. When you were speaking about that, Michael, I was thinking about, have you ever had a salad and you had a piece of lettuce stuck in your cheese?
Yep.
And nobody has the wherewithal to say, "Excuse me, but you have a piece of lettuce stuck in your tooth." And they will let you go through the whole meal, and then you go to the bathroom and you go, "Why didn't anybody say that to me?" So I have learned to say to somebody in a kind and gentle way, "Excuse me, but did you know?" and whatever it is, because even though it may be a momentary lapse of embarrassment.
Oh yeah. I walked into Lowe's.
It's so appreciated, right?
It is. I walked into Lowe's the other day. I was actually buying some wood, and a worker, somebody was working on a project, came in and their zipper was completely open, and I'm standing at the front counter. I didn't hesitate to say, "Dude, your zipper's down." And he goes, "Oh God, thanks."
But it can be that simple, and actually probably afterwards you both shared a smile. Right?
Yeah, well, basically, it's this nonchalantness about it. There's no real focus on it.
No.
You've got a hitch in your giddy up. Just deal with it. I don't want you to feel embarrassed about it later on. I tell women a lot of times, your tag is up. On the back,
right.
Your tag is up.
And this one lady, that's the same thing. She came out of the restroom and her skirt was tucked in her underwear. And I said, "Excuse me." I didn't want to. let her walk through the store like that.
I don't think that's a good idea to do that. You might want to go back in there and re-outfit yourself, you know? I'm sorry. I don't want you to think I'm being, you know, when a guy does it to a woman, you don't want him to think that you're
being
you know,
fresh,
paying too close attention or too much attention. But I you know, usually when I smile and kind of laugh about it a little bit, it doesn't come off that way. You know, and you can say things.
Absolutely. And that's the pivot point right there, right?
Yep.
100%. It's a very sweet, because, you know, if you hadn't had the kindness or thoughtfulness to say that to that young man, you know, who knows where he could have gone in his day, right? I think,
exactly.
Why didn't somebody say anything? Yep.
Yeah. Why didn't somebody tell me this is how many people have seen me and not said anything, you know?
Right.
How many people have seen me
and it's like that, as you said, you can say things in a very kind way that is out of a place of love to somebody that may need a little bit of a reminder to smile on their worst day.
Absolutely so. I love it. We must be getting close to the.
It is.
So
any last thoughts? I'll let you sign off.
No, I think you just said it right there. You know, just remember to, you know, look people in the eye, be kind, and you know, remember that on your worst day, it's perception of the worst. It's not really your worst day. It's just you think it is at the moment. And you can always change that thought process and keep moving forward. Always.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And abundant blessings to you all.
Same. Bye-bye.